Today, I'm going to be talking about examining one interaction between cognition and physiology in terms of behavior and evaluating two relevant studies. And the interaction is going to be revolving around emotion. First, to define cognition, cognition is a mental process through which we acquire and evaluate knowledge that comes into us, and physiology is the biological change such as stress levels, heartbeat rate, neurotransmitters fired that it produces. The first study is Schachter and Singer, 1962. They posited the idea that emotion comes in two stages. First, you have physiological arousal, and then you have cognitive appraisal, which is when, such as a quickening in your heartbeat, leads you to look at the situation and label what is happening. And therefore, emotion is a result of you labeling the situation you're in because of the physiological change it produces. And for this study, they used adrenaline in 4 groups. One group was injected with a placebo and so would not experience any effects. Another group was injected with adrenaline and was told the effects it would produce. One group was injected with adrenaline and was lied about the effects it would produce. And one group was injected with adrenaline and was not told anything. And they were all put into situations which would produce some kind of emotion. And they found that those that were not told the effects that would happen, such as those in the placebo and those in the adrenaline group that were not told about the effects, looked at their situation to try to label the emotion, and therefore their theory that it first was physiological arousal and then cognitive appraisal was somewhat verified by this study. The strength of this study is that it was a lab experiment and therefore it can show causation. However, because there was injection and of a substance of adrenaline, it could have caused undue stress and thus is somewhat unethical. And the next study is Speisman in 1964. Speisman wanted to see if emotions could be manipulated, and he did this by showing participants a film that was about a genital surgery going on in a different culture. There are 4 groups, and each group had a different soundtrack. One soundtrack was absolutely no sound, it was just the video. Another one was a trauma narrative, and it exemplified the pain and all the bad things surrounding the surgery that the boys were undergoing. Another group was the anthropological interpretation, and therefore it was just talking about the history behind it. And another group had a soundtrack that said that it was an enjoyable experience and they were all happy to have undergone it. And they found that those in the trauma narrative underwent higher stress levels, and this was measured through both self-reports and physiological measures such as measuring their heart rate. And they found those that in the trauma soundtrack had much higher stress levels than those in any other soundtrack. And those in the pleasant soundtrack that were told about the good things about the genital surgery going on had lower stress levels than the control group and the anthropological interpretation. So in conclusion, emotion is an interaction between cognition and physiological signs, as shown in Schachter and Singer and Speisman et al. Thank you.